allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Okay, so the second item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Does anybody have any additions or? I do have one thing, Commissioner Cole, to add him under number 7 with Cindy Taylor, Perry County Visitors Bureau. He wants to speak during that time. Anybody else have anything else?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion made by David to approve.
I'll second.
With that change.
With the change, second by Stan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes 7-0. Next up, public comment. We have one person signed in. That is Jim Carter with Animal. Okay. Oh, okay. Hi.
Hi, I'm Robert Faust.
Robert Faust. Okay, Carrie Henderson. Okay, and Robert, you want to speak with Jim, right? Is that correct? Okay. He told me that you might, if you showed up, you were going to speak with him, so.
How do you spell your last name, Robert?
F-O-U-S-T.
By the way, they're brand new residents, and I think they're going to be bringing. By the way, my name is Jim Carter. I think I know everybody here just about. They just got involved with the Animal Control Board. They came to the board meeting, and he's got a very good background in animals. He's got actually degrees in animals, and he actually has exotic animals. So basically, he's got a lot of information and a lot of experience and degrees in animal husbandry, or you can say whatever it is. But the reason I'm here tonight is because we have been talking at the Animal Control Board, and Charlie's here tonight. He can reaffirm what we were talking about, that Cannleton is getting to a situation with their cats, which has been going worse and worse and worse, to a point where I believe the next 2 meetings with the City Council of Cannleton. By the way, I am the Cannleton representative on the Animal Control Board. They're getting to the point where not good things are going to happen. And I'm thinking that they should be coming to the council and the commissioners to get help, because it could get nasty, especially when you start dealing with the public, whenever like cat situation gets to the point where maybe cats have to be put down. I don't know what all the answers are, but we're going to need council help, and we're going to need commissioners' help. And one thing that's a big problem we've got is there's never been proper animal enforcement in the county, as everybody knows. Charlie's working on this right now, working with the sheriff and the police departments to try to come up with a plan to be able to better enforce, and also come up with some kind of money to help with issues that the Animal Control Board is going to be dealing with sometime in the summer. So I'm here basically, I wanted to introduce Robert and Kira Faust and let them explain to you what they're thinking and their questions. So, thank you.
Hello, I am Robert Faust. I have a background in wildlife conservation, and I'm currently working on a master's in animal science and behavior. As Jim stated, we just got to the community. We actually just got here about 2 weeks ago, and we've been going to animal board meetings for the past 4 months. Yeah, and I hope to bring some of the expertise that I have from my background, my education, into the animal board. As Jim mentioned, there are some issues with the animal control and the stray cat populations. I hope that I can bring some new insights into that.
Okay. Welcome to Perry County. Thank you for choosing here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next is Charlie Baumeister and Lacey Payne, clerk's office. And it looks like it's a part-time assistant resignation vacancy.
We're reapproaching you for that, but I'd like to turn it over to Lacey. Lacey's my chief deputy. She's been there for 3 years. She can give you a little detail on exactly what happens in that department.
Some of you may know me, some of you may not, but I am Lacey Payne, and like he said, I'm the first deputy in the clerk's office. I took over this role of first deputy on January 31st of this year, and I've been working in the office for a little over 3 years now. I'm coming to you this evening to present a little bit of background information on what our office actually entails and why we would benefit in keeping our part-time person. I feel like our office is the centerfold for filing all court documents, either being brought in by the public or filing them electronically. We file them electronically for attorneys, DCS office attorneys, the prosecutor's office, many creditors, and also for the public. On the daily, we file small claims cases, divorce cases, protection orders, guardianship cases, state cases. There's several DCS cases, paternity cases, and several other documents that need to be filed on previously open cases. Filing each of these cases, whether it be the public coming in our office or filing it through the online electronic filing system, each filing takes time, focus, and multiple steps to complete the process. When we have the public come into our office, it's sometimes a lengthy process for them. It takes at least up to 10, 15 minutes, sometimes longer given the situation. The court filing system we use is called Odyssey. And when using the system, there are multiple steps we have to do to open the case. Once the case is open, we have to add event codes on there, we have to add the parties on the case, and then we have to scan in all the documents for the filings to the correct events to keep these for court records. On most civil case filings, we go through all these steps, plus we have to prepare documents for service. And that means we have to create certified mailing labels and prepare or make extra copies to prepare for sheriff's service. It is crucial that each of these filings, we take our time and focus to make sure these documents and information is entered in correctly and they are prepared for service. I feel like if we rush through things, that's when we miss steps, and it could cause a mishap in service, or it could cause, some cases, the hearing date to be pushed back, which then causes problems for the court office. It is our main goal to keep a positive relationship with the court office, with the prosecutor's office, with attorneys, and the public. We want our office to run efficiently and properly. We want the court office to run smoothly on our behalf. With that being said, having 4 full-time and our part-time person in our office, it helps us keep up with the court business work, and it allows us to complete our daily task in a timely manner. On the daily, we receive bond money and sheriff service returns from the sheriff's office. When we're entering in that bond money, it takes time and focus to make sure all that money is accounted for and it gets entered in correctly on the certain cases. And then we usually have the jail summons that comes along with it, and we got to make sure that hearing day gets put on the court calendar. Usually, I'm the one that enters in the bond money in our Odyssey system, and I have to count it all. That takes me away from being able to help out in the office. If I do have to step away to help out, wait on public, or answer phones while I'm, in the process of counting money, it's like restarting the process over for me. I have to go back to what I was doing. Sometimes I have to recount the money. And when I'm entering it in on a certain case in Odyssey, how the system's set up, I can't save my progress and go back to it. If I have to exit out of it and go to a different case, then it's, again, restarting the process for me. I have to re-put it all in, and sometimes it's hectic. I also receive orders to release bond money to either attorneys or cash to bond depositors. That again takes me away because it takes away it takes all my time and attention to read through the orders and go back to the bond sheets to make sure it gets released to the correct individual. More times than not, when I'm doing these duties, I do have to step away and help out with other work in the office. So again, it would be beneficial to our office to have the extra help on hand when completing these duties for myself. All of us in our office, we have certain jobs we do daily on top of our everyday workload. When we have our part-time person, it helps pick up the slack. When we are trying to fulfill these daily duties. We will at least have a backup person to help answer phone calls, wait on the public, and help out with watching the electronic filings come through. Some of our daily duties that are included are We have to balance both our trust and child support accounts in the morning and at the end of the day. We enter in tax warrants. We process chemical test payments from probation office. We file serve returns on cases from either sheriff service or getting certified mailed back to us. We enter in new voter registrations. We update addresses and information on the voter registration website. We have to process traffic tickets weekly. Taking court business payments on the daily when people come in and pay on certain cases. And going through the mail daily takes a lot of time. I mean, when we get our mail, we're taking payments, we're filing documents, sometimes coming from Branchville and other public residents. And then so a lot of times we have to resend out mail if it's returned back to us, if it has the wrong address, so forth. Aside from court business, we manage child support payments in our office, and we prepare marriage license applications. This process for entering and preparing documents for a marriage license takes about 10 to 15 minutes time again, and it takes a person away from that as well. We take several child support payments in our office along with supplying child support payment history printouts that parties request on their case, or a lot of times attorneys request them. Then when we have to fax payment history documents, there are certain forms we have to fill out because legally you have certain guidelines you have to follow the state child support division when you fax confidential forms like that. The daily balancing process in our office, it takes away 2 people, both first thing in the morning and at the end of the day. We have to balance both our trust account, which is all court business stuff, and then we have the child support account. During the morning portion of the balancing, there are several reports we have to run and print out to keep track of our balancing records for when we get audited. And we gotta, then we put them in binders and keep them for when they come in and want to review them. Once all reports are printed, there are several other steps we have to follow to complete the process, and then it allows us, we have to print out checks. And then once we print out the checks, we have to prepare them for mail service and make sure they get sent out that day. The end of the day balancing is a little more complicated and hectic for us because it's at the end of the day, and that's usually our busiest time. It seems like we pick up the traffic flow in our office with the public coming in, wanting to hurry up and make payments. And a lot of times we have to file cases at the end of the day, and that takes us away from that. End of the day balancing, again, takes 2 people away, at least the last 30 minutes of the day. Balancing for child support account, they have to close the account that's open, they got to prepare the bank deposit, and then there's a money drawer with the child support that we have to count out because we keep a certain amount in it daily. And then with the trust balancing, through the Odyssey system, each of the employees has a cashier station that we take payments on. So we have to make sure all that money is accounted for, close our cashier stations, and then the main person doing the balancing then has to recount everything to make sure it's correct. And then we have to reconcile everything and make sure it's exported and deposited. Then we get the deposit ready for the bank with the money. On days when we have heavy traffic flow of payments and we have a lot of bond money coming in, because sometimes it's a big amount of money that we have to count. It takes a lot of focus to count the money, and sometimes it takes another person away just to have an extra person counting to make sure your deposit is correct. It is accommodating when we have the extra staff on hand to help with waiting on the public and answering phone calls during that process, because it can be stressful if the money's not coming out right, so forth, and we got to figure out what's wrong to make our deposit right. During election time, it is very crucial to our office that we are fully staffed with the extra help. There is a tremendous amount of work that comes along with running the election. The last presidential election that was held, it took all hands on deck on getting everything lined out and ready for that election. Of course, we had an overabundance amount of absentee ballot requests for that election. So everyone in our office, we worked on entering in the requests. We had to print out the applications, prepare mailing labels, mail all those out. And then once we received the application back, we had to enter in the information on the state voter website on that. We had to keep in a working Excel spreadsheet for how many that we had, so we could keep track of everything. In getting prepared for the election, it does take away our clerk and a deputy clerk whose main duties are voter registration duties. And then if we were without our part-time person, that would just leave 2 of us to do the normal office duties, plus wait on public, answer the phones, and stay caught up with electronic filings. This would lead to our office getting behind with court duties and election duties as well. It is a big deal for our office and for the county that elections run smoothly, correctly, and properly. There's an extreme amount of workload and preparation to run an election, and it makes for a major workload on top of our normal office duties. I'll almost finish, I promise. I know it's long. In conclusion to everything I've stated, I'm here to once again ask you all to please reconsider allowing us to keep our part-time position. Our office does run more efficiently, and we do have the proper staff and help. It allows us to do our jobs correctly and mindfully. And it allows staff to use, our vacation time, our personal times, sick time for doctor's appointments. I feel like now we have to worry if more than one person needs to take off on the same day, or if they have vacation plans, because then that would just leave 2 of us in the office, and it doesn't run smoothly like with just 2 people in our office for a day or even a few days at a time. We are still currently having to close 12 to 1 for lunch alongside the court office. We are currently having to do this because of our turnover in staff and new hires and with the training process. The training process does take time. It generally takes about 5 to 6 months for a new hire to grasp what all our office does. When we are fully staffed with our 4 full-time and part-time help, it makes it easier for us to take those separate lunch breaks so our office can stay open from 8 to 4 and better serve the public. So I appreciate your time and willingness to let me speak on behalf of the clerk's office, and I please hope that you reconsider letting us keep our part-time. Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
First of all, I'm going to thank Lacey for that, because she's been there 3 years. As you know, I stepped into the office back in December. I will not be as long as she is, but I just have a few points that I'd like to make. In 2020, the clerk's office had 6 full-time people, and that has nothing to do with the council. Former clerks decided to reduce the numbers, and after that we went down to 5 full-time, part-time, 22 5 full-time, 1 part-time, 23 4 full-time, 1 part-time, and this year basically 4 full-time. During these years, and I'm very glad to say that we all around the county, we've hired more police officers. But when you add police officers and decrease the number of the people in our office, they're doing more work. Our prosecutors filing more charges. Since January 1 to the 16th of this month, 516 criminal charges have been filed, and close to 200 civil cases. So we're adding police officers, which is great, but we're reducing our staff, which is not great because of the work. I'm not sure if you realize this, but the child support program reimburses back to the county so much per day per employee. So the last figure I had, thanks to Chris, and this goes into the general fund. And at the end, the last quarter of last year, a little over $2,500 came into that in the general fund from that. So at the end of each pay period, we have to fill out forms to send to the state. I do that, and at the end of the month, and then they send back quarterly payments. Some of it go to general fund, some goes to my perpetual fund, and some goes to the other fund. So there is some revenue coming back over all this. Plus, when we're fully staffed, instead of just 3 people they're paying for, there'll be income coming back from that part-time. This position was funded for this year. 50% out of general fund, 50% out of perpetual fund. I'm requesting that you go ahead and give me the okay to advertise and hire someone. When budget time comes, I make a pledge to you, I will work with this council, however we have to do. If I would like for it to stay the way it is right now, but I know things are going to be tight, I will use more perpetual money to help pay for this. But you have to remember, there's a set amount there. And when we take those big chunks out, it takes a lot longer for it to build back up. We could possibly do it for a year or two, fund the whole thing. But I am willing to do whatever it takes to bring this part-time person back. Thank you.
Charlie, can those perpetuation funds be used for other people in their salary? I mean, it's my understanding that
it's
they can.
very questionable about most of the clerks that I've talked to use this for their part-time because the perpetual fund is supposed to be for records keeping and things like that. But
it sounds like a little bit everybody's doing some of that. I mean,
right, it's true. But the most of the clerks I've talked to said that the only time they use that for salary is for part-time people.
But I mean, I think that it is available to be used for the others because everybody's doing, yeah, that's what I thought.
According to the attorneys from the Clerks Association, no, they frown on it. I know I spoke to Spencer County clerk and he doesn't believe that you should use any perpetual money. Everybody's
I understand, yeah, the opinions and things.
But as I said, I am willing to discuss and work with this council to make sure that we can keep this person. But I'm begging you to allow me to go ahead and hire my part-time person.
So right now there are 4 full-time people, including yourself.
Myself, yes.
Okay, so I know Ms. Lacey said something about like when somebody leaves, it only leaves 2 people. So like if somebody's on vacation or they're out sick or whatever, where's the other person?
Well, basically that's my position. And right now, 100% of my time is focusing on election because we don't have one this year, but we have a lot of makeup and cleaning up to do in the election stuff. We've got to start preparing here in the next few weeks for next year because we have, a big election, a county election.
So you don't do any of those other duties really? You just
I
do the
have
election
been
stuff?
shown how to do it, but most of my time is every morning I have to check the voter registration and work on all the forms that are there because every day we get 15 to 20 new applicants.
Every day?
Every day.
Okay.
Awesome.
And I welcome any of you to come in and watch the process. It's time consuming.
So really you're not doing anything too much outside of the election stuff?
That and I help back in the records. If somebody comes in and wants an old marriage license, I'll go back, we'll find it, I'll print it and bring it out. I really don't deal with the cash. The ladies in there do it. So I basically turn it over to them to, check the person out.
But are you trained and able to do any of those duties that?
I've been shown how. Whenever I have time, I'm going to have to sit down and do it. I learn better by doing than just being shown.
Me too. I do as well.
So, but I am willing to do anything that I possibly can. But I really, and especially with the election coming up, with all the forms and every one of 4 of you here are going to be on that ballot next year, and we want to make sure we do it right. And I hope that we're all in agreement with that, and having that part-time person would help tremendously.
You mentioned something about you're aware that our budget's going to be tighter next year. We're not going to have the growth that we've had in previous years. That's going to be drastically cut back, especially next year. If I understand everything right, we're going from a potential of a $314,000 increase in our budget to a $68,000, which won't even likely cover inflation. So, and that's not including any extras with anything. We have a lot of things going on in the county that we have some issues, with the, I wrote down some things just so we can, like at the jail, we have some issues with the costs continuing to rise there. They're going to need vehicles replaced that haven't been planned, we're going to need several of those and a proper planning.
I've been in your all seat. I realize.
So, I mean, there's going to have to be, we're not gonna generate enough to bring in the money that we need to pay out. So we're gonna have to
But
look within
my
to find
department-
efficiencies
excuse
and
me,
cut.
one of my department has perpetual fund, just like the recorder.
Mhm.
No other departments. So
Mhm.
all their salaries are being paid out of the general fund. You know, we are trying to help with perpetual fund, using perpetual.
And
fund.
I
If we
appreciate
didn't
that.
have the perpetual fund, then it would be another story. But what I'm saying, I don't want to delete that completely because it takes several years to build up. I can't tell you how long it took to build up what we have now. Chris, you have any idea? It's probably before you even came aboard.
Correct, and I do know that Rachel and I had looked at it when she was clerk, and what was happening too is a lot was you can't expend more than you're bringing in.
Exactly.
And so that's why you could only pay half of it out of there instead of more, to where it's sustainable. So I know it's been pretty consistent with the amount that's coming in, which is approximately about 16,000 a year.
Plus, we're looking at probably another 10,000 from the child support going back into the general fund.
Replacing what.
But that's for
Right.
everybody. That's not for one employee.
Right,
That's for all your
but
employees.
they pay for each
I
employee.
understand.
Okay.
The only, there's another thing, I talked to some people at the state about, it's not just gonna be our gross revenue that's gonna be reduced. They still haven't got the budget bill finished, and there's a lot of cuts within there that are happening to programs like the HFI. Other things, there's other programs that I've been reading about, and those are all a piece of this puzzle. So we're gonna have to try to see what we have and what we can do with what, and so when I look at our growth loss only, from where we're at and where we usually would have with our normal growth. Next year, we are going to have a $245,540 decrease. 27, $282,260 decrease. 2028, $296,770 decrease. I mean, those are significant.
And that's for the whole county. Our
No,
department-
this is for Perry County's
Right,
portion.
I
This is
said the
not for
whole
the whole-
county.
No,
The county.
I'm sorry, that when you look at the numbers for the whole county, it's over 700,000. But if you just look at our portion in Perry County, not including the cities and
That's
towns and
just the county.
schools,
But-
That's just-
that's correct.
Looking at our budget, I think Rachel and I think Chris helped her that they've streamlined it. They've cut it back almost to nothing. And I don't know where, especially next year with that election.
I don't know about that bill that was in place. I think it passed, or it was getting close. The one, I don't have it with me handy here, I just thought of it. The one that, for the referendums, where after July 1st, there will be no referendums until a presidential election year. Did that pass?
Yes, it did,
Okay,
and I
so-
did speak to
So
the
Cannleton
state
won't be able
today.
to in the fall?
Well, that's the question. Is it status quo until next year? Since they have the tax now, do they leave it into effect? They're supposed to.
I think it
give
said
a
July
really-
1st,
really-
2025 though, right?
Right,
Okay.
but they're supposed to give a ruling because that's what we're asking about the referendum. And then also, if we have to wait till next November, that is just their school, it's what's in the school district.
Hmm.
Not every home in Cannleton's in the school district.
Right.
This is going to be a nightmare for microvote.
It's a
On the
presidential
voting
election
machines.
year,
No, it would be next year. The next general election would be.
which is the next president, like
No,
your next,
no.
is
The
it,
general
don't they want it
election
on the
is next year.
presidential election year? That's not next year.
26. When we have the general election for the county,
But that's not
is-
presidential.
You mean the
No.
midterms?
Yeah,
no,
he's still-
these are general elections in
it's
November.
midterm.
Primary in May, general election in November. The next general election will be the
So-
county.
It's not the one, the part of the bill where they were looking at for the presidential election year?
No,
Because
no.
that was my understanding.
No,
They wanted it where everybody had a chance to vote, so you
Right.
wouldn't have to
the
do
one
that.
on the presidential was the cities being on that ballot, same as the president.
I thought it was the
The
referendum.
towns, yes.
It's the cities and towns.
But no, the next general, which will be November of next year.
Okay, so maybe not this year because it said July 1st, 2025.
And if, and if they don't status quo it,
Mhm.
they're gonna lose $80,000
For 1 year.
for 1 year, so.
At least, yeah.
I understand things are gonna be tight. I'm willing to work with this council, with budget time, but I'm begging that we add, that you give me permission to hire.
Hey, at one time, the auditor came back requesting additional appropriation for warrants because the state was supposed to streamline or something where you no longer were needing checks. Did that ever happen?
No.
So they never did get that done?
No, ask, Lacey is the one that,
Do you know what I'm talking
makes out
about?
the checks.
It was Rachel.
Rachel was here, yeah, it was Rachel.
She, when we did our budget, she no longer included money for checks, warrants. And
There's
so
money in the budget for warrants.
I know,
Oh,
but she didn't at this time, and she had to come back with additional appropriation because the state never did follow through with
No.
whatever, so they've never done
No,
that?
they've never done anything like that. So she prints out checks every morning.
I wonder why they never did get that accomplished.
I have no idea.
That's been like,
That was in
I do
2020.
appreciate the work that your office does, Lacey. I appreciate everything you said and everything that you do. I know there's been a lot of changes and it's probably greatly impacted you the most because you've been there longest, and I get that. I'm very concerned about the financial situation. And I would like to see if you can be trained on more things so that you can help them, because, you are a salary employee. And so if that takes a little bit more hours than what, you normally work, or that's just how salary employees are sometimes, So if you can, I understand the duties that you do with the election, but if you can maybe train on some other things to help them, to help,
And I do plan on doing
relieve
that,
it.
Kelly. I'm
Yeah.
not leaving it all up to them.
Yeah.
But again, especially next year, because it's gonna take myself and one other person
And
for
I'm not,
that whole election.
I'm not against,
process.
looking at a temporary person or something to come in and get trained and help with elections, just to consider that or something. But for right now, just me personally, I can't do this, because even though you have the fee-based fund, those are funds that we could potentially use to help take some expense off the general fund, and we're gonna have to do that in a lot of areas. So that's what my reasoning, but anybody else wants to chime in or ask?
I've got a question. How's, from a employee retention kind of an aspect, how are things in the office? I know that you're very freshman kind of people helping you out, Lacey. I know you're the senior person there with 3 years. How are you guys holding up? I mean, I don't want to lose folks there at that office.
I mean, it varies. I mean, some days it's very stressful in there when we have, heavy traffic flow with the public coming in, making payments, wanting to file. Sometimes we get people coming in wanting to file 6 small claims at once, and then we have the person coming in for a marriage license, and that's a lot on us. I'm training in, we had a new employee start in the middle of February. She's still in the learning process. She's doing great at picking it up, but it still pulls me away from my duties when I have to stop, and then I have to go help them and show them what they need to do on their end. So, it can get stressful.
Is the public being served well in you guys'
I
feeling?
think so.
I feel so, that we're doing the best that we can with the numbers.
When we are short-staffed on certain days, we tell them, just be patient with us.
And I'm sure it's inconsistent, right? Sometimes you're a little busier than others, and then sometimes there's slower periods, and so it just depends on what comes in, right?
The first part of the week,
You don't have any
because of
control over
circuit
that.
court, is a very busy time. It sort of slows down a little bit towards the end, and then that's usually the catch-up time, because she is also the financial officer for the department. She takes care of all the reports. First of the month, she gets the report, the banking statements for both accounts. She has to balance that. She has to enter into Gateway. So she is tied up quite a bit.
Well, that's what our end of the month balancing, and that does take, it could take a couple of days to complete that process, especially, that's all new to me. So I had to have Debbie Weatherholt help train me on most of that. That does take a couple of days to complete, and that does take all of my focus on that, because there's a lot to it.
Yeah, as with anything, something new, like you said, the new people in your office, but
Right.
hopefully once they get up to speed, it'll be a little bit quicker.
Well,
And
we were very fortunate for one lady had worked in the office years ago and did the child support. The court cases are what's really new to her. learning that. Our part-time person, which moved up to full-time, even though you work part-time, you don't grasp everything as well. So it's still a learning process for her. All of this is a learning process for me. So it's basically, we have one person that has, the ability to do everything, and everybody else is trying to learn. So it slows things down. And again, we could really use the additional help. 28 hours a week is what the person will work 4 days a week.
I appreciate Lacey being here and explaining the clerk's office. I appreciate your understanding and your willingness to work with us in the future, because 25 is going to be a tough year. If this was a full-time position, I'd have a different opinion on it, but being part-time, being budgeted, I'm going to make a motion to approve part-time position in the clerk's office for 2025.
I will second that. Out of concern for, again, employee retention and serving the public and morale, and in hopes that once that members of the office get trained well, that we may be able to
then we can look
reduce.
at it at another point. I appreciate that.
So is that going to be something you're going to tell this new person, that they are going to have a job till the end of the year?
That we will be negotiating, and I will tell that person up front, I'm not going to mislead anyone to take a job part-time and wait till December 31st and say, hey, it wasn't in the budget. So they will know ahead of time. Maybe a little harder to find somebody, but I'm willing to go that way.
We have a motion made by Corey, second by Brad. Any other discussion? If not, we'll take a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'm abstaining.
Okay.
I feel like we addressed this a couple of months ago already, and we still don't know where we are budget-wise with the state, so I'm going to abstain on it.
Paul, may I make a statement? I was told at that meeting to come back in 2 months and we would make a decision. I can't wait another 2 months. I would like a decision tonight.
Okay, now I'm going to have to ask roll call because I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, you're a yay? You're a yay? I'm a nay. Nay for David?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay?
Nay.
Okay, 3 to 4? I don't know, you have to,
That's a.
Or I'll do
Well, he said
abstention,
no.
either one.
All abstain.
did you vote?
All abstain.
I abstain.
Oh,
That's
okay,
3
3 to 3, so it doesn't pass.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Charlie. Okay, so 1 abstention. Sorry, Paul, I thought you said something. Okay, next on the agenda is Till Lucas, updated job descriptions.
Hello. As you guys are aware, we recently received some bad news about our funding, and our funding was kind of abruptly cut for our immunization coordinator. But it kind of worked out because she was retiring at the end of June anyway. So that kind of caused some reorganizing and restructuring within our office. So I had sent an email requesting some job duty changes. Number one, some of these changes came about simply because HFI came about and they were outdated to begin with. I know that Chris, prior to you coming into office, we had updated our job descriptions, but I don't know that they were ever really, it's never going to be a total full picture of everything everybody does throughout the day, but I think there are important pieces that need to be included or taken out if, the position is not doing that duty. So the requested changes reflect both job duties that we have, shifted simply from, job title changes and some requested changes from picking up the duties of not replacing our immunization coordinator. Obviously that, changes the flow of our office and kind of changes things in general. So I wanted to get those to you guys. We do share these job descriptions with our state leadership often. They're always interested in how health departments are structured and, as with my title, it's like, what does that really mean? What does that look like here in Perry County? So I want to make sure that those job descriptions are accurate and, describe truly what we do to the best of our ability. So that's why those requests were made. And I should say too, that in the March Health Board meeting, they were approved by our Health Board, if that helps.
So it looks like Danielle's taking on some of those things, and then
So-
you will take.
Yes,
Other
so I had been
administrative
doing a lot of the administrative duties anyway. So I think my job description was really just kind of like needing some verbiage changes and some updates that had been going on.
She got
And then,
quite a bit of.
yes, and
additions.
then, yes, she is taking on, because a lot of her duties were switched to me. That position's duties I picked up. So this is a great time to kind of update those job descriptions because she is taking on a lot of our immunization coordinators.
So you in essence absorbed that
Yes.
position.
I mean,
That's
not-
our,
not
we're gonna try
fair.
to. Yeah, we are gonna try to. It will be difficult for our office. I'm not gonna lie, but I can't sit here and say that given, I mean, you just said it best, the current state of the legislation that is going on, I'm hoping that we get good news by the end of the day tomorrow. I'm holding my breath. Health First Indiana funding is very important to the state, very important to this county. So I hope that our funding, continues. But I don't feel that it would be correct to at least give this a try. I've been very open and honest with our health board, and I'm like, we will try it. We are willing to try it. We're all willing to pick up where we can and, make these changes. So I won't lie, I might be here at the end of the year and say, hey, things are not working. Can we maybe go a different direction? But I feel like right now with the state of where things are, I feel like this is a fair shot and a good time to try it. I just want to make sure that we have job descriptions that accurately reflect all of the work that we do.
Does anybody have any questions for Tara or any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
To accept it with the changes. I'll make that motion.
Okay. David makes a motion to accept the job descriptions with the changes, seconded by Gail. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next up, Parker,
Through all.
Mr. Hudson, sorry.
Good evening, everybody. I am here on behalf of Ms. Hurst. She's in Louisiana out of state doing National Guard stuff, so I'm filling in her place tonight. We had to let go our office manager back on April the 4th. That position is still vacant at this time. I'm here to simply ask for permission to post and fill that position moving forward. It's already been budgeted and appropriated for. And I'll answer any questions you guys have. It's a position we are sorely missing right now. We're all taking turns doing the front desk work that they always do. So I'm just simply asking for approval to post and fill that position.
And I think we received a letter this afternoon. I don't know if everybody had gotten it or time. Okay. Okay. From Prosecutor Hurst in regards to what this job does and the day-to-day operations and those type things. So does anybody have any questions for Parker or any discussion? I mean, I'll just read some of these things that she says that they do for the effective administration of the day-to-day operations of this person who is a full-time office manager. Is they do the claims, managing the financials of the office, answering the phone lines, answering the door, manages infraction deferral program, I guess, is.
As well as coordinate with all the attorneys that call into our
So all the
office, all the
scheduling.
defendants, mail. Most of the mail goes out through it, payroll, all claims, yeah. They're pretty much a jack of all trades and the first point of contact in our office.
How hard it would be to fill this position?
We've actually had a few people reach out to us already. We told them we had to wait for approval from you guys. So I don't think it's going to take too incredibly long. I did check with the auditor's office, or I had the ladies in the office do so. I think Teresa that we had let go had some vacation time that had to be paid out. I think that's going to be all paid out by this paycheck.
This last paycheck.
So we shouldn't have any issues on that front. Once we fill that position, there shouldn't be any overlap.
Is there any discussion?
This
Question?
position is funded fully by the county, isn't it?
Yes.
I don't have.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, it's fully funded out of general.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do want to say too, with this position not being filled, this is just giving some feedback. It has put added work on our office. And I just want to say also that I cut positions. We made efficiency changes in our office in 2023 to eliminate positions. But I just want, this is a position that her being missed right now. I don't know if it's a cross-training thing or whatever, but with this absence, it is adding more work on the auditor's office as well. So, and we don't have the time nor the staff to take on those responsibilities long-term, which we have been doing. So I'm just saying that it's inflecting my office as well with this position not being filled. I'm not trying to say that anything, but I don't know if there's any adjustments they can do within our office, but I can honestly just say that I cannot continue. My office cannot continue.
No, Samantha made some sort of cut when she became prosecutor.
Yeah,
didn't she?
there was a,
I think there was a full-time and a part-time child support, and she only has
a criminal support or something. What was it? There was a full-time position and it was eliminated. And then the part-time person came up to full-time. So really it's like they lost a half a person.
Nice.
So that's.
And I'm just saying, we've been a team player for the last little bit.
Yeah.
And it's taken a lot. I know there's a lot of, situation, but we can't do it long-term.
And we're limping along as well. We're doing the best we can, but most of the time it's an attorney or a paralegal that has to fill the front desk, or somebody's running to catch the door or answer phones. So
It's pretty inefficient.
yes,
Yeah,
very
that's
inefficient.
Okay.
I'd make a motion that we fill that position.
I'll second.
Motion made by Gail to fill the position, second by Brad. Any more discussion or questions for Parker? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 7-0.
Thank you guys. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
Thank you.
Next up is Cindy Taylor with the Perry County Commissioners Visitors Bureau. And also Commissioner Cole, it says.
I'm just here, I'm gonna give you some background, how we got to this point, and then Cindy's gonna take it from there, because I was kind of actively involved in this. The way our innkeeper's tax works, it's collected on any stay within the county at a hotel, cabin, where you reside there longer than 30 days. So that generates anywhere from 200,000 to a little more, a little less, depending on how the rooms are being rented out. The way the system had been in the past, the county collects the money and we appoint a commission. Then the commission receives from the treasurer the money. And then what had been happening was they would take and move a large sum of money from the commission to a nonprofit. And then at that point, they'd go on and conduct their convention and visitors business. I attended one of these meetings and I was asked to leave after the commission. And I thought, well, we're using innkeeper's tax dollars, but then it's somewhat being shielded from the public as far as what's actually happening. So the group decided that in order to be transparent, that they would just operate, I think it was just in the last year or so, they would operate simply as a commission. And that would carry out all their duties. So it would be just like a meeting like you're having right here. It would be for the public could hear what they're doing, how they're doing it, and it would be a county entity because that's how the money actually flows through. They no longer would transfer it to the nonprofit. At that time, they asked me, they said, well, would it be possible for a director to be a county employee? And I said, well, yes. You have to get clearance from the council to do something like this. But as long as you fund it, pay for it, pay for the benefits, these kind of things, they would probably consider it. I said, there's 3 ways to do it. You can hire them as an independent contractor where they just are their own entity and they work under contract. You can do it similar to an organization with a temp worker where you have someone who is the employer that provides an employee and then also as a county employee. 3 different options in order to do this. And that's what's brought us here today, is that I think their intent is, because every individual, and I don't know who they're interviewing or who they're considering, every individual has a little different perspective on what their needs are. If, for instance, I have a spouse that has all the coverage and everything, I would probably say, just give me the money and I'll stay on my wife's coverage. And then if it's not, and I want to have coverage, I may opt to say I'd rather be a county employee and get the coverage of the county. So the flexibility is what they were asking for, what they have to do. They need to come before the council and ask whether that option is available to them or not. And they would pay the cost associated with it. Cindy, take it from here.
I do want to add, we are no longer the Perry County Visitor Bureau, Inc. We are the, I'm going to try to word this right, the Perry County Convention, Recreation and Visitors Bureau, or Visitors Commission, if I got that right. So we do not run, we have deactivated the non-for-profit. So right now, can you Perry County Convention, Recreation, and Visitors
Promotion
Commission.
Promotion.
I have to say it really slow.
I'm not sure
That
that's
is
right.
what the commissioners, well, the state, the way the state works.
County Convention and Recreation.
Anyway, what we are asking for, I'm the secretary, and kind of got here. The president is out of town, so he wasn't able to. We are asking to see, and we would like an up and down vote tonight, to see if we can, we need to know whether we can have this, put this out there as a county employee. What we have set up, I've sent, I don't know if you've sent that to everybody. I gave Kelly, and I don't want to put it out everywhere, what our salary would be, what we would reimburse the county for this employee. We would, I'm going to just pass this down. And this is just kind of a summary. I don't really want to.
Is it these that you sent?
No, this is the actual money.
I didn't see that.
What we would
Sorry.
do, what we're looking at doing,
Is as a county employee, but we would literally be paying the salary and benefits.
So this whole list, you would be paying
Yes,
this?
that's just kind of the broke down of what it would cost
Okay.
under that with insurance.
Sorry, I don't think I
One
got it.
person.
So I didn't
Okay, I
send
thought
it
I
to anybody.
sent
I
that.
got
I'm
these three
sorry.
things you sent.
I should have sent that out to everybody with that other this morning. But that's just kind of what we're looking at right now. We're looking at all three options. This was, I'll be very honest, our horse kind of left the county and the cart was left here because of we're reorganizing, hopefully going in a whole different direction than what we have been offered the annex. That will save us $10,000 a year with this these tax dollars, which is a big, big thing to me. We're still working on that. It's an option. We are kind of stuck under a lease agreement with the city yet till April of 2026. So our hope was that they would kind of let us out of it, but it don't look like that will happen. Anyway, that we are hoping, we're kind of a split on where we go with this. I like the idea, I'm gonna be very honest with y'all. I like the idea of a contract. We don't know if that's gonna be available to us or not. Some we're looking at, I gotta watch what I say, would be easier to be a county employee. It would bring the openness to this board and these funds that has not been there for 30 years. They have, since 2000, since the non-for-profit was established, these funds have not been, no one knows where these funds went, what they went for. The public's not aware of what even we do. Our hope is to bring this clarity to this for a new board, where a lot of us are new. We have one member that's been on there quite a few years, another one that was on a few years and is back. I'm the next longest, so that doesn't say a lot. I'm in year 4 now. Our hopes are not to always be on there, to get this set up where it is running efficiently and the county is being promoted, that we see progress, see something in the county. These dollars going for Perry County as a whole. Right now, it's kind of a Main Street Tell City function. That's just honest. So if anybody has any questions, shoot them at me. That's easier for me to answer questions. But that sheet of paper was just kind of a breakdown of what we would reimburse the county.
So you need to promote the whole county. I mean.
Yes. We have a river and we need to work with the forest more. I mean, that's our two biggest assets.
Years ago, we used to do a brochure with the Forest Service.
Well, we have been working, a brochure has been in the works. I come on January of 2022, and it was talked about when the other Cindy went off in 2019, and it never got done. So that is being worked on now.
And actually, the Forest Service paid a pretty big portion of that.
Back in the day?
Back in the day, they did. They no longer.
No, we fight for everything from them. We don't get.
Back in the 90s, you mean?
Yeah.
Yes, that's when he was on. I think he was on before the non-for-profit kept me.
I like the transparency of it being a county employee. If I could be sure that there would be no added expense to the county and all expenses would always be paid by the CVB. One of the issues I have is your revenue fluctuates. So there's no consistency with, I mean, of course, if you have somebody from, doing that director's job and all your efforts that your board's doing and stuff to promote Perry County, the idea is to bring in more dollars. I get that. But, COVID happened, things happen that are out of your control also.
Well, and actually COVID helped us.
Well,
you
I'm
can
sure,
see those 2 years that.
But I mean, things like that may
Yeah.
not may go in the opposite direction. Yeah, that concerns me.
And that I call this is a chart that shows you the stagnation. And did I send that to everyone? I think I did. It's not been built up on, year over year. It should never go down.
So if I'm looking at this right, over 14
years.
From 2000, 14 years, it looks like if $2,535,006.80 is
Yes.
what you brought in, or the innkeeper's
The
tax has
innkeeper's
brought in.
tax has brought
Sorry,
in.
not you personally.
Right.
I double checked her figures and that's correct.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Thank you, David.
And that's, you could go back, 10, 15 more years. Yeah. But I know David told me that there wasn't a lot of revenue when it first started up. You've had 2 motels built.
It was under
early 2000s, yeah.
for a number of years.
Yeah.
And what hurts you sometimes is when the rooms are rented
By
30 days or more
yes.
and you collect nothing.
Yeah.
And I remember the Holiday Inn, they had a lot of those.
Well, and right
And
now,
also
there's some that, and I've talked to the entity that we don't get nowhere with that too. Because they don't want to be in the rental business, although they are, basically.
Yeah.
Is there a job description for
Yes.
this person?
And did I send that?
I don't have it.
Okay.
But
I
if
can
you
make
sent me an
those
email or
copies of
something
that.
that I didn't get,
And
because I didn't have
it's
that.
kind of, this is one that we had, some of it was.
I got the 3
stricken
documents
off.
you sent today, or
I did.
I think it was earlier today. I think everybody got these,
I
right?
have those.
Did you get these today? Okay.
Because we need a job description, but have to have a job description.
Yeah, and I would probably go through, and I've got another one where I've scribbled on, where I could mark some of this out.
I'm sorry if I missed something, but I didn't see it if you had sent it.
No, I may
Sorry.
have not sent it.
Oh.
I sent it to Stan.
She got her name.
Do you still have it?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, because that's my last one. And like I said, some of those were marked out when the job description was put out. We
Just make
have,
sure you change the name of the office.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of things that need,
I'm just teasing you because you.
Would this be paid directly out of the innkeeper's fund, or how
it
would that
would
be
be,
done?
the way I understood it is we would have to reimburse the county through those funds.
So what would that look like? I don't know how that works. So,
I mean, we would reimburse
You would have to create a fund, and then basically it would be.
well, the fund's already there.
That's what I'm asking, is it going to be paid
Directly
directly out of the innkeeper's tax fund?
Why wouldn't it?
That's why I was asking.
It looks like it would, wouldn't it?
I wouldn't see why it wouldn't. Then you
instead
would
of
have to
transferring it to you
reimburse.
guys,
Instead of transferring it into the
just pay it out
commission.
of that fund.
Because the money goes directly to the county,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
yeah, it
Yeah,
goes
it's in the
into the
innkeeper,
county.
yeah, it's in there right now.
I would say we wouldn't transfer a certain amount of money for the salaries and leave it in the fund, then you can take it out of the fund.
That's what I was asking, yeah.
Would they need to be considered a county employee? I mean,
That's what the hope of some is wanting, the county employee.
So on that sheet of paper that you passed down to us, it had insurance premiums, it had salary, it had pension, it had.
All the taxes, and things,
Cody.
the social security.
Okay. I thought I saw that, but I just want to make sure.
Health insurance, what I was
Social Security.
So what are we looking at?
Pension.
What is it, what's an annual?
If, and I didn't add those numbers up.
Reimbursement,
I have to
$83,000.
abstain because I'm on the
Which is that?
CBB board.
Yeah, I don't have that paper, but that's with
That was
everything
my-
that was on
as
there.
a council
Assuming those
manager,
numbers are
my
correct, that's
concern
what.
is
And them are
the,
pretty new numbers that he does.
you might want to,
The only thing I have is like the claims on
I'm
the
trying to
insurance,
stay out of it.
you know, I don't know what
I'm
happens
caught in
with
the
that.
middle right
Yeah,
now.
because see, we're self-insured, so.
Yeah.
The first 60,000 has to be paid for, so is that 60,000, and that's
Are you gonna say
60,000
the claims?
per belly button, not
Yeah.
employees, so if it's a family of 4, you're looking at,
Are you guys have the ability with your reserve funds to pay the, or whatever you have saved or whatever's in your account to pay claims?
Oh, we do right now, but I would say,
I mean, assuming someone you hire would take insurance, I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I have no idea if they would or wouldn't, or take a
but
single
you
or
have to
family, or
budget for it no matter what.
you'd have to make
yeah.
sure you have the money, you know.
right,
I'm just,
yeah,
Thinking-
that's the
thinking
tough
out
one.
yeah, that's my concern is the health insurance. And if something happens and it falls back on the county eventually, but,
Yeah, it would like any other employee. So that's,
That's the risk that the county would be taking in
Yes.
making this person a county employee.
yes.
And also if the county gives raises, then I don't know if that would be part of the CVB. The director would get a raise there, you know, so.
I don't know.
I'm kind of in between. I'm on the CVB board, so I can look at it both ways and so.
are these requirements like your job description and then you say what you want them to have? Some of them, it talks about a bachelor's degree or,
Correct.
related experience or whatever. You take all that into consideration whenever you, because
When-
I noticed the salary is, it's a decent salary, so
Right.
I just didn't know how
There
you
was
guys
one
came
that
up with
was
that. or-
taken in, I can tell you that was one that was taken into consideration. It was checked.
Is this salary, is this something that you checked with other counties or,
Yes.
okay, so this
And
is
it's
in
still kind
line?
of on the low end, believe it or not.
It is.
That's what I've been told, that we are a small county.
Mhm.
I think the public needs to understand that as a board, we don't have the ability to make these people pay. We don't even know who pays and who doesn't. We're not allowed to know.
Who gets them signed up to pay? Like when we have a new
Well, we
hotel or
told
we
our
have a new
director would do that.
Airbnb.
The
who does that?
director is the only one that knows. The treasurer of the county and our director, whoever signs that contract with the director, is the only two people that know, or the contract with
Is
the
that by
treasurer.
statute that can only happen?
That's what we've been told by the
Yes, there's
treasurer,
rules, there's certain things with innkeepers.
and it
that,
makes
yeah.
no sense.
I mean, I'm just
because-
curious because who's monitoring if a new Airbnb opens or a new VRBO opens? Hey, are we getting their money or not? Well, we don't know, so we just ignore it. I mean, that doesn't make sense.
Hey,
I know that we don't even know their numbers.
So there has to be there's something here. We're missing something.
years ago, we went after one. that had
Yeah,
been paid.
I don't know. Maybe we need to investigate that a little further with it.
And
we're not allowed
Maybe your
to talk
board?
about it.
Your board maybe needs to look into, like, investigate into the statutes of what, who can. Maybe there is a designated person, I don't know, but we need to know who the new, if there are new things coming, if a new hotel opens down on Seventh Street, you want to get them, right? You want to be able to.
And the motels, I can say, just by our numbers, you can tell.
we went after a motel, and it came out of this courthouse, the treasurer's office.
Is that who?
And
I don't know.
it was like a claim.
So the
of-
treasurer would be the one going after?
It was a claim over $13,000. I don't remember if we
Hmm.
ever collected or not. but-
I just think there probably needs to be monitoring of that, or maybe she does, I don't know. I'm just saying, whoever it is, I would think there's a statute.
I do know our past two directors
She might.
had
be able to-
access to those because they had signed a contract with Amanda. So
Oh,
that I
okay.
do know.
Okay, maybe that's the
I
process
just
then.
know that Amanda oversees all the innkeepers.
Okay,
And there, I know
she
there's
may be doing that
stuff
already.
that she can't, information she can't share, like.
And I do want to add that when I said we are a pretty new board, we are in the aspects of where we're going, what we're trying to do here. We're not all on the same page yet. We're getting there. We went through a really bad patch, especially last year. Won't deny that. It's out there in the public. When our director left, we lost a lot of files. Had lots of bags of shredded documents left behind, and our computers were wiped. So everything we do, and I can just go from me as trying to get this information to people when they contact me, it's been tough because I have to dig and dig and dig. Some things I've been successful with, some things I haven't. But I look at this as going a different direction than the past 30 years. The public come at us at a meeting a month ago. And it wasn't fair to the fact, and I'm speaking for myself, because we're not that old board anymore. We've worked hard we have worked hard, Cindy will say this too, to come together and work together. It's been a big help to bring the board down to a smaller number and fewer people. But we've worked hard to get to where we're at today. We're still getting there, won't deny that. This is something our director left in July of last year. So we've kind of been working, I will say, on the fly. Cindy's been amazing with ads and stuff, keeping stuff going that way. We've done what we could.
We are a working board.
And when we've been working, I won't, I put a lot of time in this, so not
For
perfect
now,
at it.
for
It's-
now.
I hate Secretary over denying, but anyway, this was something that our president desires to wanted me to come check on this and put out there that if we can have a county employee with reimbursement, I can't tell you whether there would be insurance requested or not, I don't know.
Do you have a budget?
Yes, and it was sent to the council,
What was
the
that?
2025 budget.
It was?
Yeah. Barry, he sent it.
When was that?
That's when we was a non-for-profit.
Yeah, that's the gateway.
And,
You guys approved the airport and the solid
I
waste.
did not bring it because I thought it was, you've done.
I don't think so. You did solid
Can you
waste.
send that to us? Because I thought technically we're supposed to approve your budget every year. Okay.
Baby steps. We're trying to get there.
Just from the aspect of with HR and everything, you have to have a job description. It has to be an approved job description. You have to have the sustainable revenue to show that it's going to be able to be fundable. And so I'm just saying right now, of course, this is the council's decision, but there has to be numbers that says that, you know, how's it going to be funded? How's it going to be paid for? You know,
That is the
insurance.
paper I sent.
But
that
that is, you're saying right now, you don't know if you can fund the insurance.
Well,
And-
I don't think any other entity that's hired, any other employee pays. No, I will say no. There's no way with these funds that we above that base.
You mean the premium?
The premiums, to.
So you are saying that the county general funds would
It
have
does
to
for
take-
all other employees.
No, it does not. The sheriff pays their insurance, the health department pays theirs, the highway pays theirs, the courthouse employees, but no,
You're
they
saying
don't.
you'll pay
Yeah.
the insurance premium.
Yes.
She's just saying she won't pay for
Yeah,
the
we
claim.
would pay the insurance.
I think that's what she's saying.
Yeah, we're paying the insurance. That was on that piece of paper.
Being the treasurer of this
She's just saying she
CBD,
wouldn't pay.
we are
She
sustainable.
wouldn't pay the claims. You know, that, like, the
60,000.
60,000.
60,000.
You're talking about premiums, she's talking.
She's talking, the premium is on there. It was down there at like 17,900 and something.
Yeah.
So then the 60,000 per belly button.
That's
would
what
come
she was
out of
saying,
the-
yeah. If you
So that's an
encourage,
added,
If it was needed.
so
If
that's
that-
an added expense for the county is what I'm saying.
if they
And we
were,
just added, we just added solid waste employees to that this year also. So you guys are gonna have to remember that at budget time, because that's budgeted out of general. That's all I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
We got it.
Yeah.
Stan, did you have something? I'm sorry.
Well, I said, I am the treasurer of the CBD, and it is sustainable through the years, you know. Past history proves that we are sustainable to pay the insurance and the salary.
But it is gonna be an
whatever
added
else
expense
comes
for the
out.
county, because it is going to be, we're going to have added expense for the county of the claim expense of up to $60,000 per belly button. Is that's just what I'm stating, it is going to be an added expense for claims.
Health insurance, I agree, you know, you don't know what you don't know, you know, I mean, pay the premiums, but, that was my main concern on this.
Randy, was there some discussion at one point in time about revisiting the health insurance to see that we're up to date as far as that's concerned?
Our whole problem with the county's health insurance is we have one plan, and we should have a cafeteria plan where our employees can pick and choose what they want, what they don't want, and that impacts our salaries across the board substantially, because the big dollars we pay out in health, just
Claims.
insurance and that and coverage. Because see, what we are, the first 1,000 the employee pays, then we're 80/20 up to 2,500, and then the county will pick up the remainder up to 60,000. Our reinsurance kicks in at that point.
Right.
But what we do is we have benefits that far exceed other industries and other entities similar to us. And with that comes the cost. So when it comes time for pay raises, we find ourselves plowing huge sums of money into healthcare and these benefits associated with it. And not all employees would choose, if they had the option, to take those. They would maybe have a higher deductible, have some of the money laid off into an HSA plan or something. But we don't have that available. It's one plan, one time. And it really, it needs to be looked at, how we can do that.
Is that on the schedule to do, I mean, again, looking at it as a way of possibly minimizing the risk that we're talking about, 60,000 per belly button?
What you're doing is, I'm comfortable when they calculate these fees. Our reinsurance is about, it's either 440 or 445. Correct me if I'm wrong, David, but that's with changing to a new firm that doesn't have the laser, where they take someone that becomes ill, takes them out of our system. We had a couple people that were lasered out in the $250,000 each, and the county had to pay the first $250,000 on those people. We opted for a new company that takes those lasers. The existing ones continue, but no new ones will be applied, because that really eats your budget quickly if you get somebody that's ill. So we changed that, but that premium is about $440,000. Then we pay Anthem as the administrator to run all these claims and handle that. And I don't have that number off the top of my head that I remember what they charge. But then this interim period is how, whatever it is from the 1,000 and then the 80% of the 2,500 and the other is what's factored in to generate these single costs to the county and family plans. So it takes into consideration, we may have 2 or 3 people that exceed the 60,000 or full, but we have some that come in here and use $10,000 worth of benefits, maybe 15,000 depending on where they're at. Those things are factored together to generate our our insurance cost.
So that should change every year?
It really should, depending on our claims, because that's how it's, you know, it's how it's generated.
I think that's a little bit.
The county just acts as their self-insurance for the first 60,000, plus if we had a catastrophe, we could pick some up on the back end too, but it's unlikely. It's like any other time. Yeah, I mean, you hire, you just replaced a highway worker out there for a truck driver. You hired someone with Greg Hendershot. You're rolling the dice. Most of the time, it's like life insurance. I mean, they sell you a premium, charge you $1,500 for $100,000 of coverage. They don't expect everybody that signs up to be paid off that year.
No.
It's a percentage, and you know, we're a small group, and if we had significant losses, it would be a big deal to us.
I just think turning this into a professional just sounds like it's going to up our game as far as the commission, okay? And that's very attractive. That $60,000 risk is something that we've got to keep our eye on, and I don't know where to land here. I really don't.
I agree. That's my holdup on the whole thing, is because I'm not looking to add another dollar. You know, we just had to turn, or we've already, because we might have to use some of his fee-based funds to help offset the general fund. So that's the only thing. I really like that, the aspect that if it was a county employee, everything would be public. There would be no hiding anything.
Well, everything will be, because we are a county entity.
You know,
anyway,
through a nonprofit is what I mean. And
Right.
maybe hiding is not the right word, but there would be nothing that would not be available to the public for what the innkeeper's tax. It is a tax. Some people do not believe it is. It is a tax, a 5% tax on those rooms and overnight stays. I like that, you know, if it was governmental, then it would be all transparent in that fashion. So
this is actually like a position, if the CBB, if you acted upon this, the CBB could determine that they could no longer support this position. You as a council could do the same thing. It's not an elected position. It's an at-will employee, okay? Like any other employee is. And if you determine it's, if you decide you want to offer this, you can, and then you decide this really isn't working, this position is not set in stone. Not like a person that's elected to a position. This is no different than what we have as far as like a Steve Hauser, Steve Howe.
I was supposed to ask, would it be appointed by the commissioner?
Yeah, but I mean, it's not, it's actually an employee is what you're dealing with, and Indiana's an at-will state.
So the board would be responsible for hiring the person instead of?
They're gonna hire him, and that's who they're gonna report to, but the board could then decide, no longer is this, you know, something we can support. the council could do something similar.
Yeah.
So,
Does anybody have any other thoughts or questions or anything?
Somebody in the audience.
Well, I'm not gonna
Okay.
do questions from the audience just because if I start that, it just has to continue that and we're trying to, but thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, well, she said she wanted to be transparent with the public, and so is the public. I just wanted to ask a question. Where does the revenue that you talk about from this tax, where does that revenue go? Does that go to the county? But if you don't want to take that question, you don't have to.
Is that to us or to her?
It originally goes to the county in a fund, but it gets transferred to us, the commission, the board, to expend that for tourism.
It can't be used for any other
That's the
purpose.
only thing it can be used for. It's very short-lived.
Promotion of
Yeah.
tourism, right? Okay, does anybody on the board have anything else? Or does anybody want to make a motion, or I'll open the floor for motion, or whatever you guys think? Or do you want to table it and think about it? I know we just got the job descriptions and the other things. It's totally up to you guys.
We had said there were three options, and I can't remember what the three options were. Are you saying this is the one that you all chose?
This
You
is
said
the
there
one
were
that
three, so-
somewhat, yes.
Somewhat.
We're kind of split there.
It was county employee, independent
The
director.
contract is really a tough one because if you hire somebody, they have to have their own LLC and be willing to do that. The third option of the contract, that one I don't really.
Tori, what they're actually trying to do is have, when they actually pick their individual, and I don't know who they've interviewed, that they could present three options to them. One would be a county employee if they chose to go, which would pay them less. One would be an independent contractor. Brian's familiar with that because the guy before him ran an independent contractor and he did the management services at the hospital. And he ran his own little company and did that. So that's an option. Then the other one is a similar as when you get temporary employees. Say, for instance, at the foundry, there is an entity that hires the individual, provides them to the foundry, and then they work at the foundry. So that's the third way that you could actually do this, is they become an employee through a third party. So, and I think their intent was to pick an individual, sit down with them, and try to determine what works best for the employee in the certain situation. And I think that's why, and I don't think they picked any one of the three.
And this job description, it's not a 8 to 4, 9 to 5 desk job. It'll be an in and out, weekends. I mean, and everybody we've interviewed are very aware of that this is just ours will be consistent but inconsistent as far as what they need to do.
It just, to me, and I don't know anything about that side of things, is that you would make the decision first. And then you'd hire somebody who wants to work.
Well, and like Randy said, we're kind of trying to work.
Instead of molding the position to the person, because then in 6 months when they leave, when you're gonna open it back up, like, okay, we'll pick the person, how do you want to be an employee?
Right.
To me, it seems silly. But again, I don't know anything about that business.
Would it be a good option to offer them a salary nice enough that would be attractive? And let's say you're on your own as far as getting your.
Yeah, we've discussed that. So that is an option we have to us. But they still have to be a contracted employee.
1099.
Yeah.
Basically.
You mentioned earlier about they'd have to be an LLC.
If they would
Be a contract.
be a personal, yeah, they would contract themselves out.
I don't know. I've never looked into that.
I think Stan and I both have done 1099 employee.
And then they have to have their certificate of insurance for the county and all that.
Up for liability.
Okay.
Does anybody want to make a motion or not? I mean,
Maybe we're comfortable talking about it later, but we really need to move forward on this, one way or the other. We've got to.
if I have to vote today, I would say no, because I'm not looking for any added expense, but that's just my personal opinion. I like the idea, like I said, that it would be a county employee, everything would be transparent, public tax dollars would say public. I think that's how it should always be regardless, but that's how I feel about it. That's just my personal opinion.
I can say the board is committed to transparency.
I appreciate that.
This board is.
Yeah,
I don't think we have any motions, so
no.
I think it dies.
Dies of lack.
Yeah, thank you for your time. Next up is, or the minutes from March 27th. They were kind of lengthy, so thanks for whoever did these. Not you, no, it's Lisa, right, Lisa? Yeah, thanks, Lisa, if you're watching. I'm just kidding.
I review them beforehand and I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, Corey makes a motion to approve.
I'll second that.
Second by David. All in favor, say aye. Aye. 7-0. Next up is you.
Okay. I added this to the budget, or to the agenda, to just start talking about the 2026 budget. I know that it is already April. As we know, there's a lot of changes that are still in the process, but my comment to you guys kind of stems from our joint meeting with the commissioners regarding the edit dollars, and it was a great meeting. I think we had a lot of information shared, but after going back and rewatching the meeting and kind of gathering my thoughts after it, I really kind of wanted to talk a little bit about that, because I know I've said this in the last couple of years. I see a huge flaw in the way that the budget is done, as far as jumping or jamming everything into 3 days. I know there's a lot of council members that spend a lot of time on their own, in the past, I'm afraid this, on their own, looking at the budget and reviewing stuff. And I also know there's council members that didn't open the budget book till the day that we started budget in September. I think it's a lot of pressure on the auditor's office to assist you guys with budget. I know that last year, everything that we tried to do with Baker Tilly didn't work out, and that was a complete flop and waste, and we won't go down that line. But I think if you guys would have more work sessions and have some more time to where you're actually thinking and planning the budget and working on it, we won't have issues like we're having right now with the fact that it was an overlook and that the revenue for being brought in for the jail is only $274,000 and some change. And we adopted a budget last year for $398,000 for the edit funds, which now we're going to have to. It's just a lot to remember, and I'm so willing to be a team player and take ownership that I missed that, but 7 other council members missed that too. And I'm just suggesting that we spend a little bit more time preparing and planning for budget than 3 days. I also know that I suggested to the Personnel Policy Committee to create a wage committee. This is something that I've heard from a lot of other counties, that they have a wage committee, that they are starting working on their wages before they even go into budget. And I know some members of the council are on that Personnel Policy Committee, and they have said that they thought that the council needed, that's part of the council's job, which I don't disagree. The budget's your job, but you can't we can't build it all in 3 days. So it's April. We're getting well into close to budget time. So I just wanted to bring that to your guys' attention. I really, really would like to see our budget process improve to where we're being more efficient and having more work sessions, not necessarily where things are being discussed. I think we're moving in the right direction. Last year, I think it was super helpful meeting with the departments beforehand, you know, and kind of getting that. But I think I still am going to stand strong that you cannot put a good budget together in 3 days. And the issue that I believe that we're having right now with the edit in the jail is because of what we try to push the budget too much into 3 days. There needs to be more broke out sessions where we're focusing just on this stuff and looking at it. I do think us breaking down the edit funds is going to be more visible because on our Form 4 for the edit, your revenue compared to your expenditures wasn't off balance because it was being offset with money that was being put in with because it looks at it as a big pot or a big piece of it. So you had your special projects money, you had your building maintenance that necessarily weren't budgeted. So your revenue, that revenue is offsetting the difference. So I just wanted to bring that up in April. I know I had spoke with Corey because I think that it was kind of discussed in the personnel policy that he was going to kind of head up this wage committee. I know with SB1, I mean, we're all knowing what's in the pipeline right now. I don't necessarily think there's going to be a huge thing, but I think that this is a good idea. And there's a lot of other counties that that do their budget completely different than we do.
Can you get their systems?
Yeah.
Like what they're doing,
Absolutely.
so we can not recreate a wheel here.
Yep.
If somebody's got things that work, we can look at it and maybe just tweak it.
Absolutely.
Being new, do we have a budget committee?
Nope.
No.
Just the
Okay.
council.
Yeah, just us, yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
yes,
so-
yep. And typically in the past, budget's been done in 3 days, and it's super
I
stressful for
understand that, yes.
for my office.
Yeah.
And
Did you prepare us the book that you bring to us, right?
Okay,
With
so
all the numbers, all the departments
But
requests?
that's all departments request. So I don't put those numbers together. I just put it together in the system to print the book. So I don't put the numbers together. Each department does their own request for those, but yeah.
Of course.
So all I do is enter it into my software and then I put it, but.
So you're not talking about creating a committee, aren't you just talking about we need to maybe have work sessions?
I think that the council needs to have more than just 3 days of doing budget where you're like saying, okay, we're gonna focus on the general fund tonight or
It seems
today.
very tiring.
Yes, and it's just too much in 3 days, and this is what happens when you're on overload. You miss things, and we missed it in 2024. The edit plan changed from 2023 to 2024, so the funding was broke down differently, and it wasn't really even discovered till we started breaking it down to break down the amounts that. Okay, in 2024.
Categories were missing, actually.
Yes, that we were, yeah.
So that's how the numbers.
I just wanted to go ahead and bring it up in April, just because it's budget time is coming upon us. And so typically May and June from the other counties that I've talked to, that's when they kind of start looking at their wages. A lot of them go off of, and this is where I've got a lot of the ideas from other counties, the state kind of lets you then know in June about what they're doing. And so they kind of try to mimic a little bit off of that. I'm willing to help however, and I know that in the personnel policy is spoke of that, that the council was going to be the wage committee. So not necessarily creating a new committee, you guys just do that.
Can you, if you don't mind, to get us some of those, like if they have something in writing, they can send
Like
us
a
for review?
scope?
Yeah, so we can see just what other counties are doing. And maybe it's not exactly what we want to do, but we want to tweak it. It's a start. It's not us coming up with something on our own, sitting here trying to figure out where do we begin with this, because we only know the 3-day budget session.
Right.
So I'm not against that.
Awesome, sounds good. I'll get on that.
If you could send it to all of us, that'd be good.
Sure will.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, up next is you again.
Okay, so I'll just do the cash transfers right now. Who did these are for the prosecutors, is that right? Yeah, prosecutor's office. These are some cash transfers where we had some things that were paid out of the wrong fund. So these are correction of errors for those. So the first one is a cash transfer in an amount of $53.50 from Fund 8136 Criminal Justice Grant Fund to the pretrial.
Can we do this all together since it's all,
She thinks not.
really?
because
Okay.
We can do, we'll do them individual.
Well, the reason being
Oh, they're not the
is
same.
they're
No,
not
I
all the
thought they were.
same, and these are, a lot of these are for the 4D, so the more motions you get, the.
Get more points?
So we'll stop at that one if that's okay with you, and I'll entertain a motion on the first transfer to Christus.
53.50, yep.
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
5350. Motion made by David, second by Gail. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
7-0.
The next one is out of Fund 8136, the Criminal Justice Grant to the General Fund for $30.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Motion made-
it.
Motion made by Stan, second by Paul. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The next one is from Fund 8136, Criminal Justice Grant Fund to the Pretrial Diversion Fund, Fund number 2502, in the amount of $402.01.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
I second it.
Motion to approve made by Brad, second by David. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I guess I should say any nays. Okay, 7-0.
7-0, no reason.
The next one is from 8136 Criminal Justice Grant Fund to 2502 for the pretrial for $1,996.20.
Motion.
Motion made by
Second.
Corey to approve, second by Stan. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, next we have additional appropriations.
We can see the lights.
Additional appropriations,
Okay, yeah.
these are the increase in wages that, the circuit court.
It says to cover the expenses of the increase in raises, but
I don't know which one that is. Okay, so
Because I don't
all I
understand
know, if you guys remember, you guys approved the budget in 2023, or 2024 for this year. And then in January, you guys approved a mandate from, Judge Lucy Goffnet to give the raises as she requested at budget time. And, because we couldn't do the additional appropriations until after the annual financial report was done, which it is done now, those amounts have been being paid out. If we don't do these additional appropriations, then towards the end of it's gonna run out. There's not, so.
we don't really approve this. This is a mandate. So
Mandate,
we just have to.
You just have to approve the additional appropriations.
Yeah.
I guess I said that wrong.
Yes.
It was brought to you guys in
Okay,
January.
I just don't want anybody to think correctly.
It was brought to you guys in January.
Okay.
So these are the amounts of the increase on there.
Can these be, do these need to be individual?
Um,
Probably the stipend, well, maybe.
No, none
Was
of these
was
are.
one of these missed? The 1039?
Here, I don't know what this is, it's my problem.
Circuit court.
Probation,
I mean, it's missed on here,
secretary.
Which
but
one?
it's on here,
Here, ready?
that's not on here.
Probation officer, probation secretary, judge, secretary, reporter.
Retirement, that one's on there.
The judge secretary court report,
Social
1039.
Security.
The 913, 49's right there.
Which one, David?
This,
1,039? Is it on the second, first page? No? So it says her though. It's just a different amount.
No,
It's this one.
no, that's a different one.
This is 913. What's that?
Well, it's on here, both places.
It's, I think.
Social Security.
The social
Oh,
security, these are,
you put this down.
that's what he
Social
just said.
Security.
Yep.
Hmm. Okay, well, you have to advertise it, don't you? Yeah. So if we can do them all with that?
Yep. We're not bringing that
Can
one
we
back.
do all but the two?
All but-
The ones that's labeled,
All
the
but
ones
this
that's just
labeled.
missing?
All but the social security and the judge secretary court reporter.
I'll have to bring those back.
Do they need to be individual though, since they're,
None of them are 4D, so you're fine. If you want to just
even
want to-
these stipend, I mean, I don't understand the stipend one. I mean, I'm not saying it's wrong, I just don't know who it is or what it is. We don't know.
General. I can look at what line number it is, but those are all, they're all part of the mandate. I think that one,
This is part of the mandate, or this, see when you say stipend, I think it's that stipend.
it is, they get that. Yeah, the 5%, that,
So who does this amount include? I guess it's mine.
that's
You see what I'm saying?
in that line. It's that portion, it'll all come out. Every different part employees will come out of that. Because it's all within that, and then it's the location. Because like I have one line item for that, for my office, and everybody's comes out of there, because I'm location 002. So that's the stipend bonus for location 232. Those aren't, yeah, that's not an individual position.
I just can't remember if the mandate covered those people or not. It did. I mean, it covered those people, but this stipend was an addition to, this is that 5% one-time stipend that we did. Is that for everybody, or was that excluding the ones that got the special mandate? I cannot remember that.
No, they got
The
it too.
stipend went first before the mandate.
Yeah, they got
Okay,
that.
okay,
Yeah,
that's what I wanted to know.
they got that.
So you think this includes everyone? That's what I wanted to know.
These are all, I know that.
I just want to make sure it's accurate, whatever it is. I don't want to approve something now that we didn't approve later or earlier. Yeah.
Yep, total.
That's the only thing I was worried about. So if you say it's right. Okay, so you say we can do them all together with the exception?
Just do all the, like, a motion to do the additionals for the judge mandated, and it will cover all those, except for the ones that the one that I missed.
So we're going to exclude the social security for the supplemental adult probation and the social security, or I'm sorry, and the judge secretary court reporter for the supplemental adult probation additional. So any motions that you make cannot include those two at
And
this
those will
time.
come back.
And will come back, yes.
Then we can do this all at once.
Yep, with these.
I'll make a motion that we do approve it,
David makes a motion to approve
with the exception of
with the exception of the two that we discussed.
Judge.
Well, they're not even advertised, so, I mean, they're not on the
No.
sheet, so.
Okay,
Yeah, so,
Well, it is on here.
yeah,
fine.
they're not on the advertisement.
Second by Gail. Any discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
The next additional appropriation is appropriation for the reimbursement for the Pauper Public Defender. This is for the fourth quarter of 2024 and the first quarter of 2025. Together, $79,199.02. Oh, sorry. We like to make that appropriation available so that once we've received it, then we appropriate it so that when we receive the bills, we can go ahead and pay them out and don't have to wait. So that's how much we've received for the Pauper is for quarter four of 24 and quarter one of 25.
Right now, you don't have more bills than that.
Nope.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, or I'll entertain a motion?
I'll make the motion to transfer
I'll second it.
or to.
Addition for the
Additional
additional, yeah.
appropriation,
yeah.
I was gonna say, I don't know.
Not
Additional.
transfer.
Okay, David makes the motion for the additional, second by Paul. Any discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
The next one is the same thing. It's for the 4E Public Defender. in the amount of $984.54.
But it's the same idea.
Yep.
I'll make a motion to do that additional appropriation also.
I'll second it.
David makes a motion, second by Stan. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Okay, 7-0.
The next one is an additional appropriation for the community crossing matching for the highway road improvements for $247,490.
And that is money that Steve had from last year. He already had it, but it just needs to be moved for the match for the community crossings. Okay, he was gonna be here. Steve's usually here and really good about that, but he had something he had to do. So he sent me a text message, so.
Make a motion to.
Motion to approve? Okay.
I'll second that.
Motion to approve by Gail, second by David. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0. Next up is an ordinance to establish an EMS capital equipment replacement fund. I have notes for the last one. Did you get it? Yep, okay. I thought I sent it to you. So this is something that we have talked about last fall and we tried to get for a while. But we got it now. So Rod did review this and approved it. So I think I have to read it one time and then we'll see how it goes from there. But it says, whereas the Perry County Council is a governmental unit authorized under Indiana Code 36134 to exercise 1, all powers granted by statute, and 2, all powers necessary or desirable to conduct of its affairs, which powers the establishment of certain reserve funds. Whereas the Perry County recognizes the critical importance of the replacement of its emergency medical services EMS capital equipment to ensure the safety, health, and well-being of its residents and visitors. Whereas the Perry County Council wishes to establish in the county an accounting structure, a fund to be entitled EMS Capital Equipment Replacement Reserve Fund that will be a non-reverting fund, so the funds will stay. The Perry County acknowledges that over time, EMS capital equipment will be outdated, worn, or no longer functional, and proper financial planning for the replacement of or upgrade of such equipment is essential to the continued effective delivery of EMS services to the residents of Perry County. Whereas the establishment of the Capital Equipment Reserve Fund for EMS purpose will allow Perry County to set aside and manage funds specifically dedicated for the purchase, repair, and replacement of EMS capital equipment. Whereas this ordinance is enacted to facilitate the long-term planning and financial stability necessary to support EMS capital equipment needs and to ensure EMS personnel have access to the appropriate equipment and provide high-quality services to our community. Now, therefore, it be ordained by the Perry County Council of Indiana as follows. Section 1, there is hereby established a special fund known as the Perry County EMS Capital Equipment Replacement Reserve Fund, hereinafter referred to as Replacement Fund. The Replacement Fund shall be used solely for the purpose of replacing money for the acquisition, replacement, repair, and upgrade of EMS capital equipment, including but not limited to ambulances, cardiac monitors, Lucas devices, video laryngoscopes, stretchers, and other EMS equipment valued over $5,000 with prior approval by County Council. Section 2, Perry County Council may at their discretion allocate an annual amount from the county's general fund or other desired funding sources for the replacement fund to ensure its sufficiency for future planned EMS capital equipment expenditures. The amount of money to be transferred to the replacement fund shall be determined based on the assessment of EMS capital equipment needs, budget availability, and any other relevant factors as deemed necessary by the Perry County Council. Section 3, any withdrawal or disbursement from the replacement fund requires prior approval from the Perry County Council. The EMS provider must submit a request before making a purchase, outlining the need and providing sufficient documentation for the expenditure. Funds may be expended from the replacement fund for, but not limited to, the purchase of ambulances, the replacement of EMS capital equipment over $5,000, such as cardiac monitors, stretchers, Lucas devices, video laryngoscopes, etc. Section 4, this ordinance shall remain in effect until amended or repealed by the Perry County Council. Section 5, any provisions of this prior ordinances which may be in conflict with this ordinance are hereby replaced. So we'll need, repealed, sorry. Yeah, I'm tired. So that is what we have. And if anybody has any questions or if I'll entertain a motion, what anybody wants to do.
I want to entertain a motion that we approve this ordinance. I
Okay.
think it's something that's needed for our planning for
I'll
future.
second that.
Motion made by David, second by Gail. Any discussion? I think it's a good thing. I think we're taking the right steps to properly plan for the future. You know, some of these expenses are large and they're major. And so I'm really proud of what, you know, the council did last fall with the setting aside $100,000 between three funds. I have between the Commissioners General with the ambulance lease funds of $30,000, the Commissioners Lit Public Safety for equipment of $40,000, and then the HFI funds that we worked with Tara, with the Health Department and Health Board, and they were willing to give $30,000 towards that. So that's $100,000 that we set aside last year, and we'll need to transfer that probably.
Yeah, once you guys set up the fund, then I'll
Okay.
go ahead and bring it to you guys in May
Okay.
to do the transfer and get
Okay.
that done.
If, assuming it'll, okay, anyways, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get into all that, but I'll entertain, okay, we have a motion to approve, second by Gail. We'll vote now. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any nays? Okay. Motion passes 7-0, so you'll bring that to us at our next meeting to transfer that money? Okay, because that was the intent, is during budget session, so, thank you. Yeah, go ahead. I don't have the numbers, but
I'll look
I
it up,
just,
I'll just.
okay. Yep. Next is discussion purchasing computers for council members.
That's me. I just
Corey.
looked. We're all county employees. We have access to records, emails, and software that the county is paying for. I believe if we have access to those things and have to download things, or can download things on a computer, that it should be a county computer. Or if we're having computer issues, then they should be working on a computer that is the county's computer. Currently, we have nothing. I mean, we have our own individual things, but I have a MacBook, and MacBooks don't like some of these things. So before I purchased, I thought I would come here and see if we could get laptops for each of us. Andre gave me a quote for refurbished ones for $341 a piece. And that, obviously the computer would go with the title, not the person. So if somebody resigns, quits, or gets taken off the board, their computer would be surrendered to courthouse and divvied out to whomever.
I think this would help a lot during budget as well.
I think it helps
Because
during meetings. too.
during
I'll look something
I
up.
wish I had more room to bring mine.
Look at me.
So I'm just bringing that. The refurbished ones are $341 a piece, so $2,387.
I think it would be a good asset, but I have a problem with doing that right now with the way our funds are.
I get that. Just
I don't
an
know.
option.
I mean, if you want to get them, I'm for it. I'll pay for my own.
Me too.
You know, I'll pay for it myself. I mean, I'm in favor of it, but I'll spend $41. So.
I think it's, like I say, a good idea, but in light of the money that we have or don't have right now, that not have the county pay for it.
Do most people in the courthouse have a take-home like a computer? I think.
I think they did that with,
I think it's beneficial to have.
already, was that right? Wasn't that ARPA that did that? Didn't-
I had one and then it crashed, so I just bought
You
one,
did, the
but.
prosecutor did not? No. I think all the courthouse employees did with ARPA
I think so. I think everybody in here, well,
in the
maybe not.
courthouse.
Yeah, maybe not.
The prosecutor's office did not.
Okay.
That would give the council full access. You know, Longen would load the software on, that would give the council full access to the funds. I don't know how many on this council has access to the funds now that Longen, but,
download a VPN on your own
yeah.
device.
I had access at one time and somehow or other the changed or whatever, but I haven't wasn't able to get on. I haven't tried it since, but
VPNs are very hard.
Yeah, that's loud, what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to, we can talk about that also, if that's okay. I just got a new computer and I had Anjan put it on there and because my other one crashed and it doesn't work very good. I'll say, I don't know if it's my house or what it is, but it just does not work very good. I reached out to Lao and they said that it's a problem because if you're not physically in the courthouse where you can connect directly to the server or a computer in the courthouse, then it's going to be super slow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not saying it can't be done. I know you get in, but it takes a little bit sometimes. Not like mine, doesn't take like
Mine
mine.
works.
Mine took 3 hours, so, you know.
Understand what might happen. It
That's
kicks you out. You have to put a new password in. Microsoft, it's a security thing to get you
Yeah.
through the into the server. And mine just changed out 3 days ago, and I sent Anjan, here's what my new password needs to be. He changed it back in. I'm up and running again. So I don't have the same problems that everybody else is experiencing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Mine's VP in.
And Anjan is looking into something with that because he said the only solution would be to get everybody or get a few laptops and put them here or computers and then log into that. And then it lets you log into.
Like an AnyDesk,
Yeah, kind of like you have a physical desktop here and you log into that and you log into that, but multiple people couldn't be on it at the same time is the problem. So I don't think it, you know.
So
if
you were on, and they actually said this, so like
Yeah.
you were on it and I tried to log in and kick you off.
Yeah. So it's kind of a mess.
Yeah.
It's very beneficial software to have if you can use it. Like I got in a few times within
Yeah.
5 or 10 minutes,
Like you're
but you
looking
know,
at
I'm not
that.
waiting 3 hours,
Yeah,
so.
And we do have a lot of offsites. I mean, just so you know, anybody offsite out of the courthouse, that's what they have to do. So the health department does
Oh.
that, the highway does that, the,
They need an AnyDesk here.
the court, yeah, everybody out of the.
Does it take 3
all
hours? Doesn't take 3 hours.
Sometimes it takes a long time.
To get in Lao?
Since I got the new system, new computer, and Anshin switched everything over from the old to the new, I have to call him at least 2 or 3 times a week because certain stuff didn't upload into the new system. But slowly, he's getting everything fixed so I can get on. But
Is there anything that would be more user-friendly than Lao? It just seems
No,
difficult.
absolutely not.
All of the
That was pretty costly.
Laos in like there's like Laos like heavily used in the county.
I wish
It's
we
not
could get in
Lao,
there.
it's the server.
Okay.
It's not it's not Lao, it's the fact that everything's run through the server out here. So when
Yeah.
you're off-site, you have to connect to the server. So it's not the software.
Anjan is looking into it, I will say. He said,
Yeah.
maybe there's a way we can do it without everybody having a desktop here or multiple laptops or whatever, so. Anyways, I think it would be beneficial, you know,
Through the firewall.
I do have a little bit of a concern, like I just got a new laptop, so I bought one, but I'm a little concerned with like, if I log into systems like that, am I exposing it because I'm
I got
on
you.
my other stuff that's personal stuff, and
I'll follow you there.
if I'm in my bank stuff
Right.
and I'm in county, you know, is that a problem? It seems like you're opening yourself up for viruses or whatever. I'm not technical, you know, I don't have all that background, but I would think security wise, I'm a little concerned. I don't know if there's anything they can do in Lao. I think my Lao is read only, but
Yeah, your Laos right now.
Well, maybe if we had a designated desktop here in the courthouse where we come in and can get our reports that we want, but,
I mean, you could always email me and ask me to send you the reports. I did the remote
I do,
access.
I do.
You
I
understand,
I know you're busy though, and I, you know,
You
I mean,
email me, I
that's
could
the
do
good
that.
thing about
That's
us being able to get in is if we can get in.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, the whole point of having the remote access is, you know, is to be able to have it at your fingertips. But the VPN is difficult at times. So anytime you guys need anything, you know, I'll be
Okay.
happy to pull it for you.
okay. Does anybody have anything else on this or? Okay. All right, next is open board appointments.
I just put this on here. I haven't received any additional. I know you guys were looking into, weren't you?
Yeah, oh, yeah, okay. Oh, I didn't tell you? No, I'll give an update on this. Okay, open board appointments. The last meeting, we had some questions because the statute, you know, we were made aware of a statute that you have, you know, it goes by your last two primaries that you voted in, your party affiliation, and as long as they're the same, there's no problem. But if they're different, that's not addressed in the statute. So Rod, was here and he mentioned that we should reach out to, or we could reach out to the Attorney General for an opinion. I did do that multiple times. And then finally I got a call back from the Deputy Attorney General, and he says, he did, yeah, that's fine. Okay. And he said they really don't give opinions to local governments. They're more like state agencies only, but he did look into it, and his opinion, yeah, his opinion that's not a Attorney General opinion is that it doesn't really address that the legislators need to clean that up and make that, make a determination on that. What do you do? Is it, what does that mean if they don't have the same party affiliation because it's not addressed? So I sent that to Rod, what he said, and I said, now what do we do? And he says, where statutory language is ambiguous, treat those that split their vote as independents. In my opinion, is the way to deal with the board appointments. So
I think if we make a good faith effort to.
And I think that's
do
probably,
that.
yeah, if we are consistent, then that's how it is. So the thing with this is I did look up, so like the Property Tax Assessment Board of Appeals, we had 3 people put in for it, 2 withdrew, so we only had 1 left, which was Ms. Casebolt. And I believe with Corey's research with the clerk's office, she would be labeled as an independent. So, and I believe there were 3 that were already appointed to the board, so we have 5. The 3 that were already appointed are myself, which is, I have a Republican, and then Ms. Jackson and Ms. Dixon, I believe both had 1 of each, if I remember correctly. So those would be independents. So we have 1 Republican, 2 independents. You can't have more than 3 on the board of 5. So if Ms. Casebolt, she still has her letter in, she would be considered an independent based on the voting history. So there could be no more independents if she was put on the board.
Is the designation as an independent a designation of party or a lack of party?
I think it is a party because it was on the ballot last year, right? Or, I mean, I don't know. I didn't ask that. I guess I assumed, but
I assumed otherwise, but I don't believe that I'm educated about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just assumed there was no party affiliation whatsoever, and therefore,
So then would they be disqualified because you have to have a party affiliation? I don't know.
No, but
I guess we need to call.
I think the whole board.
I didn't ask that, I'm sorry.
I think the whole board could be independent and not run afoul of that law the way I read it, but
Maybe.
am I wrong?
That's something I can ask Rod or reach back out to the guy who gave me an opinion, who wasn't supposed to give me an opinion. I can ask that.
But didn't Rod give you that as his opinion?
Well, yeah, but what he's saying is, what is an independent? Is that a party or is that
considered a party?
Is that a political affiliation or is it nothing?
You don't have one.
Like you don't
It's
have
either
one.
a political affiliation or it's not. Yeah, I mean,
Can you draw an independent primary? I mean, an independent ballot during the primary?
I don't know.
No.
I didn't think you could. So
Oh, well,
essentially
then
not a party.
primaries are strictly for the party members to choose their candidates. It's not a general election, and only people affiliated with the parties should vote for those specific candidates. The law clearly states that. That's why we had the challenge issue in May, because clearly there was an issue.
We are a 2-party system.
Yeah. Well, I don't know then.
Oh, no. I mean,
Oh,
there's
there's
Green
no-
Party and there's Conservative Party, Libertarians. I mean, there are others. I don't know that they exist to any degree in this county.
No, we are a 2-party system, Democrat and Republican.
In this county?
In this county, or you're saying, or the state, or?
They don't acknowledge that's, on the independent and that. No, yeah, we're a 2-party system. I think I'm right.
We also have libertarians and others.
Yeah.
So it's not exclusive to that, but you would not necessarily have a primary election unless you had 2 libertarian candidates attempting to run for the same office. And
Okay.
so there's several other established parties, we're just not very, especially around here, there's none. I can't remember another third party running for anything with a party affiliation. Now, we've had independents run, but that's not a party, so.
Indiana is just a two-party system, right?
Libertarians are on there.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
But
say.
but an independent or a libertarian, then they go with a certain party.
No, they don't. They're an independent party.
Well, they might be an independent, but just like Sanders. He votes with the Democrat Party.
But he runs as an independent.
But he runs.
Yeah.
He's not a libertarian, a Democrat, or a
No,
Republican.
but
He
that's,
runs as an independent, but he
yeah,
caucuses with the Democratic
yeah,
Party.
But
And I mean, they all generally do that.
yeah. I mean, if they are independent, libertarian, or whatever, then they go with a certain party.
I think the statute says no more than 3 members.
It does.
And it does not specifically say what party or what's involved in it, but I believe it's no more than 3 can be of any one
Party.
So I guess technically they're just
entity or
an
whatever.
based on.
I think so. I don't want to say for sure.
Yeah, well, I can ask. I
Yeah.
can try to reach back out. Ask about, okay, well, we can wait. I didn't even think to ask that.
But regardless, I don't think it makes a supermajority of any kind, so I'll make a motion to put Ms. Casebolt on Gilboa for the rest of 2025.
Yeah, because it's not, you're right.
I
Motion
second
made by
that.
Corey, second by David. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 7-0, and I will ask about that and bring it back to you. And I think we did have the animal welfare, which we just advertised the last meeting, so maybe a couple more weeks, maybe by the
We haven't
next
got
meeting.
any yet.
By the next meeting, we'll have, the time will be up, because we did have one before we even advertised, yeah.
Before we advertise.
Was
Yeah,
that
and
the
it was the
same?
I think it was the gentleman that was here, yeah,
His
so,
spouse.
so we'll just give it, if that's okay with you guys, a little bit longer.
So do I
That's
take
what we
the
missed.
vote off, because we only have one to fill, right?
We have one more, we have 2.
One more, okay, so
Yep.
keep that one on there.
The commissioner's 23 and we appoint 2, so that's, we have one more.
But you had 2 for me.
Right. Yep.
Okay, got it.
Okay,
Oh,
sorry. Unless the state tells us something different about independence or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I guess that's it. Next meeting. Okay, next meeting is Thursday, May 22nd at 5 in the same room here, and I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Gail.
Second.
Second by Brad. All in favor, say aye. Aye. And we have papers to sign, so don't leave, please. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for supporting.